Resident Evil Requiem is not a masterpiece. There, I said it. I'm seeing this word being tossed around online, and I have to think that using it to describe Requiem dilutes its meaning. Despite that, Requiem is great. From its atmosphere to its storytelling, to its puzzles and its combat mechanics, it's an easy game to recommend.
Oh, I miss our Raccoon City hospitality.
But it's not an S-tier, genre-defining masterpiece. Let me tell you why, and let's figure out whether this even matters. It doesn't. I'm James with Horror 100, where we review horror games only after getting 100% of the achievements. My Steam profile is public and linked in the description for you to verify this for yourself. And as always, if you hate me, hit that subscribe button. It really hurts a lot. In Resident Evil Requiem, you'll play as one of two protagonists at any given time. Grace Ashcroft, whose mother, Alyssa, first appeared in Resident Evil Outbreak, and our goodest, handsomest boy, Leon Kennedy. Like a lot of fans, I was stoked to see Leon back.
Yeah, I'm here.
He brings his trademark cheesy one-liners
When the last time you brushed your teeth?
and his almost superhuman abilities, and his hair that has somehow only gotten better with time. Leon is roughly my age at this point, and I can't do more than 5 push-ups, so goals. Grace is an FBI technical analyst, which means she's a desk worker. She processes data, writes reports, and her role could be described as pencil pusher. You see shortly into the game that she was obviously given basic firearms training, but it looks like she's never needed to use it. And her boss sends her alone to investigate a crime scene at a hotel that has no power, where her safety is far from guaranteed. That hotel also happens to be the place where she watched her mother get brutally murdered when she was a teenager. So from a story aspect, it's pretty absurd, but it's also rich with drama. For Resident Evil, it tracks. The two protagonist structure works well, and it's nothing new in the RE franchise. Instead of games like Resident Evil 0, you don't do direct co-op with the other character, and unlike Resident Evil 2, you don't get the choice of which character to play and when. In other words, it's all scripted. Leon's sections are action heavy. The Resident Evil 4 influence is obvious, and it plays beautifully. If you want to shoot, dodge, and trade quips with a man who treats bioterrorism like a mild inconvenience, Leon delivers. His sequences are almost pure action. You take zip lines, slide down buildings, and defy gravity in the dopest motorcycle ride in gaming history. Although the Leon parts are hella fun, Grace's sections are more interesting because of their design. She's not a fighter, and while she does engage in combat, she mostly evades, hides, solves puzzles, and manages a limited inventory. Throughout the first part of the game, she's being stalked by a creature called the Girl, who's immune to conventional damage, capable of pursuing her through walls and ceilings, and is only vulnerable in direct light. And although there are distinct differences, I was reminded of characters like Mr. X and Lady Dimitrescu. Capcom really knows how to create that sustained dread of something always hunting you. It could have been annoying, but it's truly part of the gameplay, and being stealthy is as much of a skill as blasting your way through the game. The puzzle design is okay, but it's a bit too simple, except for the final puzzle, which is obscure as hell. I think this is where there could have been a lot more creativity. Despite that, they were enjoyable enough. Resident Evil puzzles aren't really meant to be stumpers anyway. Everything about Requiem comes together and works almost perfectly, so why am I not calling it a masterpiece? To answer that question, we need to talk about Grace and Leon individually. Grace as a character is set up very well. She's an FBI analyst, not a soldier. You know from the beginning that her challenges will require patience, with the stealth sequences and brainpower to solve puzzles. What doesn't make a lot of sense is that she's thrown into this dangerous situation without combat experience. When I think about Grace, I find myself comparing her to another young FBI agent, and that's Clarice Starling from the horror masterpiece Silence of the Lambs. I know it's a pretty old movie, but if you've not seen it, stop everything you're doing and watch it now. Just come back, I'll still be here.
2 hours later.
Clarice works better than Grace as a character because, while she's quite vulnerable due to her inexperience, you never doubt that she'll use her intellect to succeed. She deals with a lot of adversity, like institutional sexism and childhood trauma, yet she rises up to those challenges with confidence. As for Grace, she's too naive for someone who's had her experiences. For Leon, there's less to criticize. I'm not saying his writing and character development are perfect, I'm saying he's there for nostalgia's sake. Even then, it also feels like he's hardened since the last time we saw him. He carries the weight of what he's been through, and it shows. His character development has been in progress for decades, so there's less to improve upon. His one-liners are entertaining, and it wouldn't be Leon without them. His purpose is, in part, to satisfy the action itch. The game delivers on that front. It's so much fun blasting your way through areas, especially after you get all the unlockables. He brings everything you'd want out of him as a character, and I think his sequences were a slam dunk. So let's do a deeper dive into the story. Resident Evil has always had a kind of soap opera feel, and Requiem is no exception. Fans will be happy to experience the Umbrella lore and the remains of Raccoon City. Returning to that history years later is satisfying. The overarching themes, though, are perhaps a bit too simple. Bad men want power, they must be stopped. This works just fine, but we've been gifted better lore in the past 2 games. In contrast, Resident Evil 7 gave us Ethan Winters, a completely ordinary man whose only motivation was finding his wife. That's it. But with that simple premise, the story felt more raw and personal, and the game was scarier. The Bakers were terrifying, and I don't think any other boogeyman in Resident Evil history has topped them. They really got under your skin. Village did something even deeper with the story. Miranda's entire scheme was an act of grief. She wanted to resurrect her daughter. She was willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve that goal, even an innocent child. She had been waiting over a century, and those years of grief turned her into true horror. And was Ethan even that much different? He was willing to do the same to find his own child. This is meta-level lore. These masterpiece ideas played out well. With Requiem, the antagonists want what antagonists always want, to take over the world. This feels less personal, and masterpieces kind of have to feel personal. Requiem failed in its storytelling, I'm sorry to say. To be fair though, there was an attempt to tell an intimate story with Grace's character. She's experienced shocking, brutal loss, and she finds herself able to find great purpose in the end. It just didn't hit where it was supposed to, which is why I believe there were missed opportunities to tell a touching story. How do we sum all this up? Resident Evil Requiem is a great game. It might be the most mechanically polished entry in the series. The dual protagonist structure pays off. The atmosphere is excellent. The enemy design is strong. The horror mechanics in Grace's sections are competent, and Leon is as Leon can be. But it's not a masterpiece. It's not that masterpieces can't be fun or because fun games can't be profound, but it's because the story it tells doesn't reach the level of the best works in the franchise. Resident Evil 7, I think, is a masterpiece. I also think Village is a masterpiece. Requiem is excellent and deeply enjoyable, but it doesn't reach those heights. And that's okay. Not every great game needs to be the best. Requiem earns its place in the series with confidence. It sets up future entries well. It introduces a protagonist with genuine potential, who I hope Capcom revisits with sharper writing. I had a great time. I got all the trophies. I'd recommend it without hesitation. And it's for those reasons why I award Resident Evil Requiem a gold chainsaw and place it in the A tier. Let me know in the comments whether or not you'd call Requiem a masterpiece. As always, check under your beds and inside your closets before you go to sleep, and I'll be back soon.